Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs. With me on this lovely, freezing cold evening is Ann Sprouse.
Hello, everyone, and it is awesome weather.
Yes.
It is. It is just 2 degrees colder than it is the first day Dale Cooper goes into Twin Peaks. It's 52 degrees, slightly overcast.
Well played. For ad-libbing as much, like you just did, that was brilliant.
Thank you. 54 degrees, slightly overcast, perfect weather.
There you go. But it's not in February. We're here in October.
We are here in October.
And we're going to listen to the sounds once again because, well, we talked way too much last time and we ran out of time. So this time we're going to talk about the score for Twin Peaks: The Return. And this is what's called Twin Peaks: The Limited Event Series Original Soundtrack, which is also another mouthful.
It is a mouthful. That's a fancy way of saying the score.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why I just say Twin Peaks, the score, but the event score or whatever. But so obviously there's a lot of Angelo Badalamenti in this, and there should be. As well there should be, but also some other things, including some instrumental pieces from other bands and whatnot that weren't on the soundtrack, and I was glad to see them here, but so I'm looking forward to just running this down with you as we finish off our little musical interlude before we get into other things, Twin Peaks.
Among other things.
Yes. So I was listening to this a couple times today to kind of get myself ready. And
put you in the mood.
What?
Put you in the mood.
Put me in the mood, yeah. To put me in the dark mood.
In the dark mood. Were you in the dark mood?
I was in the dark mood woods. Yes, exactly. And so, just kind of mellowing out, trying to keep myself from having like a mental breakdown at work because of typical work stuff. The usual, nothing special. And so let's run this down. This album is 77 minutes long. For all you people that love minutia, and
for those of you who want to make sure they will fit on your 90-minute cassette tape when you dub it from your friend.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which was a concern once upon a time, believe you me.
Yes, it was. But now that they've got these old spiffy CDR things,
or those iPod.
Yeah,
MP whatever that the kids are using today.
with the gigabytes and the megabytes and the terabytes and all those
with the bigger
things.
GBs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So maybe not so much an issue anymore. But
it's an issue a little bit because of the resurgence of vinyl. The time of an album is actually means something again because you can only fit so much on two sides of vinyl.
That's true. So. That's true. And you have to figure out, okay, how do you split what would normally be just a full listing on a CD, into sides. Full disclosure: when I purchased this album, I did purchase the CD. Okay.
It is available on vinyl. And
are you going to get the vinyl?
No, I usually don't unless there's something extra or there's something about the packaging that is special. But I believe that. If you did want the vinyl, I believe, once again, Spoonful Records will be able to hook you up.
Very nice.
Probably the other records shops in town, too. I'm not trying to...
I hope they're kicking a little advertising money your way because you keep mentioning them, so I just want to make sure you're just helping out a friend.
I play pinball with Brett and Amy, so...
Oh, okay, got it. So you just giving them some love.
They're good folks, but then so are the people at Records Per Minute and Lost Weekend. So
right, that's here in Columbus.
Those are yes.
Yeah, you can't just go anywhere and find Spoonful Records.
No. Here in Columbus, we have a lot of good vinyl shops. It's hard to find CDs as much anymore, but we have a lot of good music stores again. It used to be you couldn't walk down Ohio State's campus without tripping over a record store, and then slowly they went away, and now slowly they're coming back.
Yeah. So
Like
it's kind of interesting how that happened because just for a while, I mean, CDs pretty much killed like traditional vinyl albums
for a while they
for
sure
like a
did.
good 2 decades, and then slowly, I think I know one of the bands that I listened to, the White Stripes, were a big proponent of vinyl. Jack White.
Very much so. Yeah, and I
So
think
so I think that helped.
I think growing up in the 80s and 90s in the era of portability when it came to
Yes.
music, it was all about what you could throw in your backpack and have on your Walkman.
Exactly. And you had that spiffy new device like your Walkman, and then you had your iPod, and so the shift.
I remember one day, a very specific day of going to Northland Mall to Musicland or Record Town. I forget which one was there. And I bought a single, and my friend Lydia bought a 45.
Right.
And that meant that only one of us could listen to her music on the way home in the car.
Yep.
So that kind of stuck with me. The idea that, I want to play it in my car. I want to play it on the way home. I want to be able to, I'm traveling, I want to be
accessibility.
I like the accessibility and the portability. Now I could come home, plug in my computer to my record player and do a real-time archiving, which I have done, which is fine. But that's not always that easy to do. Like I said, if I'm traveling, and especially if I'm traveling, when Chris and I go to England, it is a free-for-all with British CD singles.
Yeah. And I having been to England, I can relate.
So I want to be able to load that stuff on my iPod for the airplane ride home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't necessarily I'm not going to pack a turntable for that. I would buy more vinyl if every vinyl release came with a download card.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't really get is that with, like, for example, with movies, they come out on multiple formats in the same package. Like you get Blu-rays with your DVD option, or like a digital download.
Right.
So why doesn't vinyl do that?
A lot of it does. I'd say maybe about 70% of it does, but it's that 30% that drives me crazy.
Okay. So it is. I don't get vinyl. So like I'm not buying vinyl anymore. But so I wasn't aware that that was happening in vinyl records.
If you're a soundtrack nerd,
yeah,
you want to check out the vinyl. For example, Death Waltz Records, one of my one of my preferred methods of throwing money away.
Yeah.
Just recently came out with a LP box set of every soundtrack to every Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Oh, very nice.
And it's in like a blue and red box. It's very, very cool. It's like $250. I can't wait to get it. But there are things like that. And, Death Waltz, Waxworks, Light in the Attic.
Mm-hmm.
Those, there are a lot of soundtrack vinyl production companies right now that are doing old cult movies. Like Halloween 3 and Twins of Evil. I mean, things like that.
Stuff that you would never expect to be released.
Right. Movies you completely even forgot about.
Right.
Like there's, I think it's Death Waltz or Mondo. I forget, Mondo does Death Waltz in the United States, but I forget who the actual imprint is. It's doing like Castlevania soundtracks.
Yeah.
Things like that. So for soundtrack nerds, vinyl is kind of where it's at. And sometimes you will get a download card with those. And when you don't, drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Like Bob's Burgers just put out a soundtrack collection that was on CD or vinyl. I got the vinyl because it came in this deluxe packaging with a book and things like that. It just depends. Again, for me with the vinyl, it kind of depends on the packaging.
Right. And what kind of extras it has.
Right. Right. And not only did it come with a download card, it was a pre-order, and every week you got like 3 more songs that were released to you early.
Oh, okay.
And so by the time you got the whole album, you had probably the most popular songs already, so you didn't have to necessarily wait. That's another thing too, is if you order it from the company, they can send it to you right now, and then you can download it and have it while you're waiting for your actual physical copy.
Right.
And if more vinyl companies did that, and if vinyl was not double what CDs are, I'd probably do it more often. And now I will say that there are, I do record store day every year. There's always something. There's always some soundtrack. Record store day does, old Doctor Who soundtracks and old Doctor Who radio programs. And I think it was last year they did the Lost in Space soundtrack, which was on a picture disc, things like that. So for soundtrack nerds, vinyl is great. But again, a lot of that record store day stuff, because of its collectability and piracy, does not come with a download card. And that that's kind of annoying, because then it's back to the 80s where we're doing dubbing from records.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
real time. When you want to load it onto something digital to make it portable, you have to do it in real time. Yeah. And so that if it were this album, that's 77 minutes.
And you're feeling that if you did have that accessibility option more often, then people be more inclined to try out the format and embrace vinyl again.
I would, for sure.
People like myself.
Yeah. And I think too, vinyl has a couple of things. It has pros that are also its cons. Vinyl's the best thing for looking at the artwork that's on albums. Well, that creates a storage problem.
Right.
Granted, it's thinner than CDs, but not by much with some of the newer releases that are gatefold and lots of artwork and booklets. But
obviously it's larger and nicer to look at than a plastic CD cover. Yeah.
It is, and it's when you listen to records, it's an event. That is the activity you're doing. You're not just putting on music in the background. You are listening to music. We are getting the music out. We are taking it out of the sleeve. We are putting it on the spindle. We are finding the spot that we want. We are looking at the liner. We are looking at the album cover art while we're playing it. Right. So
it's more interactive.
It's much more interactive. And I will say that's one thing that the hipsters have done. They've sort of kind of taught us to slow down a little bit again. That there are certain things that can be an activity in themselves, and listening to music is one of them for sure. But yes, full disclosure, I bought this on CD. It is available also on vinyl.
Right.
So
yeah, I also purchased it on CD, obviously, but it's good to know that it's on vinyl. And if you appreciate vinyl, then you should definitely support that by picking up the Twin Peaks score on vinyl.
Yes, I will say that the original series and the Fire Walk with Me vinyl, no download codes. So I was glad I still had my old copies, but still, no download codes. Kind of, dang it!
Dang it. All right, so let's run down the score. And the first track, of course, obviously the Twin Peaks theme. Now, this is the full-blown version. We talked about how the soundtrack to The Return had the 1 minute 15 edit. This is like the full 5 minute 4 second version.
Right.
And so you get it in all its glory. So if you're like me, you had the opportunity to go back, delete the old original 1990 soundtrack version off of your MP3 player, replace it with this, because obviously the sound is a lot better.
The sound is a lot better. This version is essentially the instrumental version of Falling by Julie Cruz. It's the full-length pop song. And it's funny because when I hear this version, I almost expect to hear her start singing. Yeah. Because I've listened to them both so many times.
Right. I have both on my iPod as well. So it's just like, I hear both every so often. And so it's just like, okay, which one am I going to get? Oh, okay. Julie Cruz just started singing. Okay.
Right. Yeah, they're exactly the same song until you hear her.
Yes. And, but that's great. So you can, that way you get it with lyrics, without lyrics, either way. All right. Next track is American Woman, not by the Magnolias, but not the traditional version.
No, not the traditional version.
This is the one that David Lynch slowed way down.
Yeah.
And what they call is the David Lynch remix.
The David Lynch remix, or the David Lynch slow down to a crawl mix.
Slow down to creepy mode.
Yep.
Yep. So this appeared twice in Twin Peaks: The Return. In part 1, where of course we are first introduced eventually, at least, to Mr. C, Cooper's doppelganger.
Yep.
As he takes his little nighttime road trip through somewhere woods to go pick up Ray and Daria.
The Dark Mood Woods, possibly.
Yes.
We don't know.
Yeah. And then we hear it again in part 16, where we see Diane, or at least Diane's tulpa.
Right, yeah. You don't want to hear this song, basically.
Right. Yeah, because she's basically walking through the hotel corridor, just heading for Gordon Cole's room, and shit's going to go down, people.
Mm-hmm. So. She's got a gun.
Yep.
And, yeah, it's not good. It's not good when you hear this
got
song.
A gun.
This is a harbinger of doom kind of a song.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
but
very cool.
I do like the song. I like the lyrics of the song. I think it's
I know some people just can't stand this one because it's so noisy. But
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this version of it because it's, I don't know, effects in music like that can be distracting.
Right.
And when you have something so slowed down like that, where it is obviously a voice, it's
just distorted because of being slowed down.
For you kids out there who may or may not remember, because you may or may not be buying vinyl, it's like when you put a 45 on and you forgot to change it to 33.
Yeah, you
forgot to change it from 33.
Yeah.
So it's. I think I do find it a little distracting because you are trying to sort of listen to what they're trying to say, but you really should be paying attention to what's going on in the show.
Yeah, it's more of a mood setter than it is like you're listening to the lyrics. You're not really, I don't think you're really supposed to listen close to the lyrics in this one.
No, and it's so slow. It's too hard to even tell what the words are.
Right.
So. Yeah, but for me, it was sort of like not for lack of trying. So that was difficult.
Yeah, and obviously it's something that clashes with the rest of the soundtrack or the rest of the score.
Well, I think by the time they got to the scene with Diane, I was prepared for something bad to happen because of where we had seen the song before.
Right,
so I think it definitely worked on that level.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that it kind of just complemented that scene.
It did, and I don't think it would have if we hadn't seen Doppelganger Cooper first with it.
Okay.
But I'm still skipping this when I listen to it.
Yeah, I get you. All right.
No offense intended to the Money Magnolias. It's just this version was just not my favorite. Yeah.
The remix. Third track is Laura Palmer's theme.
Yes, another classic.
Yeah, again, it's another one where you can kind of update your iPod with a more spiffier, newer, cleaner audio.
And it's always weird for me to hear this whole version of this song.
Right.
Because, I really do expect it to just cut out in the middle and hear that Frost Lynch Productions static.
Yes.
I expect that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like when you're a kid and your favorite movie was on VHS and there was a flaw in it, and so it skipped somewhere or had a jump somewhere, and then you grow up and you buy the movie on DVD and you're like, wait a minute, I don't remember that whole line being here because I haven't heard it in 30 years.
Right. The thing that cracks me up about this song is that the title, it's got like a little subtitle where it's the love theme from Twin Peaks.
I do think that's funny too.
But I don't consider it a love theme. I consider it, okay, this is Laura's sad music.
It's so melancholy that
it's not really what I consider a love theme.
Yeah, God help you if this is your love theme.
Yeah.
But yes, this is another classic that is to put it in the simple terms, the Twin Peaks theme is the opening credits music and Laura Palmer's theme is the end credits music.
Yep.
And so it's another good classic.
Yeah, this one turned up a couple times. Turned up in part 12 when Hawk goes to visit Sarah Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
And it
turns up in
part 17.
And which episode was it where they have all the evidence on the conference room table and Bobby comes in and sees the photo and starts to cry? Because it shows up there.
I want to say part 3.
I think you might be right, but I don't remember.
Yeah, don't quote me on that one, but I'm reasonably certain it's part 3.
I think you're right, but yeah, I will. I need to full disclosure something here about the Twin Peaks theme. When this started to play, and I think I might have said this last time too, but it bears repeating. When this started to play, when this series started back up again, I legit started to cry. Like,
yeah, well, it does. I mean, it's definitely a nostalgia type song. You hear those notes, that sad piano, and you're just like, oh, the stuff Laura went through. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you hear this song and then you
especially after watching Fire Walk with Me.
My God.
When you know all the crap she went through.
Exactly. Well, and with the opening theme, with the Twin Peaks theme,
yeah,
it is the music in the trailer of Fire Walk with Me.
Right.
And just, piece of advice, if you ever need me to cry on cue, play me that trailer.
Yes. We've talked about that, yeah.
When I hear Laura's theme, I think of Leland in the morgue. Just, that's my baby, that's my little girl. I think of him doing that, and it just wrecks you.
Yeah, because after watching the series, yeah, yeah. Well, and in that scene where I think Bob lets Leland feel all the pain and anguish of seeing his father dead. I think Bob just kind of steps back and goes like, okay, let's let Leland react to this one.
Thank you, Freddie McRubberfist, for killing him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so horrible.
Yeah, it's not like he didn't have it coming.
No, Bob died 25 years ago, man.
Exactly. And then, of course, this turned up at the part 17 where Cooper is meeting Laura in the woods.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Fourth track is the accident/farewell theme from Angelo Badalamenti. This was in part 6 in that really sad scene where there's that little boy going into that intersection, that intersection.
Go away, Richard.
The evil intersection, and basically gets mowed down by Richard Horne. As he's like half coked up, barreling through traffic.
And I was listening to this one in preparation for our podcast tonight, and again, crying because what am I thinking of now when I hear this piece of music?
Richard Dean Stanton.
Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah, or Harry Dean Stanton. I don't know why I said Richard. Yes, Harry Dean Stanton. Yeah, because
Harry Dean Stanton is MacGyver.
Well, yeah, because he could fix anything. So, but yeah, here.
No, I just figured you were thinking Richard Dean Anderson, but
you're right.
Stanton.
You're right. That's probably where
where you were getting that from.
You're absolutely right. That's probably where. Yeah, Richard Dean Anderson. Thank you. That just makes my brain actually explain quite a bit.
Exactly.
A little bit of a disturbing thing.
It explains quite a bit about me too, because I go right for MacGyver and I completely bypass the Stargate.
Yeah, I don't even think about Stargate. I never actually watched. I never watched Stargate.
We're in our 40s. He's MacGyver.
He's
right?
MacGyver. You have to pronounce it MacGyver.
Like, tonight on MacGyver.
Like that announcer Ernie. I forget his last name, but yeah, MacGyver.
Aunt Selma has 1 hour to live.
Tonight on MacGyver. Yeah, we're doing the Simpsons reference.
No, Selma, this is a lie. That was a well thought out piece of non-claptrap that never made me want to retch. Okay.
Sideshow Bob.
Dan is not allowed to turn this into the Simpsons podcast.
Yeah. That's okay. We're gonna go there. If we don't go to Simpsons, we'll go to something else.
We'll go to something. But what I love about this track, though, is not only is Angelo Badalamenti so good at the melancholy air to his music,
and it's so haunting.
So haunting, and it is reminiscent enough of the previous soundtrack that it blends in well with everything, but it's different enough that it is definitely for this series. But if you're not really paying attention, you have to sort of stop and listen and say, is this new or old? And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that says something wonderful about the original soundtrack, that while it is very electronic and keyboard heavy, it doesn't feel dated. At least it doesn't to me.
Right.
And this new music is able to blend well perfectly with it.
Well, and that's the great thing with The Return, was that it took all these old elements like all the old characters and situations, and put a new spin on him. And I
Right.
think that's kind of, and I agree with you. I think that's what this track does as well. It borrows a lot of old elements from the original score, and
this does so
and it
well
kind of captures that feel.
Right. This does so well musically what David Lynch did in storytelling, with giving you the perfect blend of nostalgia
Yeah.
and new mystery, new melancholy, new excitement, and it blends perfectly.
Yeah, I have to wonder if Lynch told Angelo, hey, just try to make it nostalgic, but don't be like a slave to the nostalgia.
That's a perfect way to describe it, because that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that this, and while it is obvious from this soundtrack that there are people that can pick up where Angelo Badalamenti left off,
right,
I think I would have been very, very disappointed if he hadn't come back as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was we were definitely glad that he doesn't contribute many new tracks on this, but we're glad what we get. Yeah, we were just happy to get some.
Exactly. And there are some people out there.
Yes.
I believe that if we had to have a Twin Peaks soundtrack that was not an Angelo Badalamenti, like Michael Giacchino could come in probably and pick up right where he left off, because that's what he's been able to do with so many people. He's good on his own, but he has also done a very good job of picking up where John Williams has left off. And
there's some of the people on this soundtrack, besides Angelo Badalamenti, that I think could do that. Like Dean Hurley, who does a lot of the ambient sounds.
Right. Dean Hurley, sound editor, sound mixer, or something like that, who's worked with David Lynch before.
Yeah.
So he definitely has the idea of what Lynch is trying to do. I know they worked together on Inland Empire, and they did a project together, a short film together with Crystal Bell.
Right.
And so
I
think he's another good one for this David Lynch feel.
Right.
Yeah,
he even there's like a digital album that he just put out of all his Twin Peaks music. I have not gotten that yet. Yeah. So you can go I forget the title of it, but you can find it on Amazon Music.
Cool.
So
I heard about that. I'm like, I have to get that. And then, of course,
so it's like he's got like the electrical sounds and just a lot of the ambient noise, that kind of eerie, spooky ambient noise that's on there. Right.
It's like when you watch a Tim Burton movie, you expect to hear Danny Elfman, and when you're watching a David Lynch, you expect that sort of haunting, mid-century yet modern, melancholy yet mysterious feel that Angelo Badalamenti gives you.
That wind kind of slowly drifting through the trees kind of sound.
Exactly. And so when you have musicians, like Dean Hurley or Johnny Jewel, who are able to provide that, it's wonderful. And you've got to think too that with somebody like Johnny Jewel or Dean Hurley, they probably grew up with this just like we did.
Yeah, so maybe they were especially with like Johnny Jewel, maybe he was inspired by Angelo Badalamenti.
Right, Angelo is their John Williams or their Jerry Goldsmith or something. Yeah. So I think they definitely picked the right people who get it, who totally get what this feel is supposed to be.
Right. Next track is Grady Groove, featuring Angelo. This is Angelo featuring Grady Tate.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually music that was featured in the original series, but here, I believe it's in part 5 where Dougie is in the elevator drinking coffee. That we hear.
Right. It's that sort of shuffly drum brush.
Yeah, exactly.
Jazzy riffing. Right.
Yeah.
Where you hear it and you expect Andy to trip over something.
Right. Exactly.
And this is sort of the Twin Peaks version of, wah, wah, wah kind of music, that something probably comedic is going on the screen when you hear this particular type of
something
riff
quirky
in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Something quirky.
Like you're waiting for Andy to step onto a plank of wood and hit himself in the head with it.
Right, or Lucy to tell you that it's the red phone by the
Yes.
brown chair that we moved from the other room
Not
against the wall.
not the black phone.
Not the black phone.
The red phone. That's my favorite part when she says not the black phone. So she has to
Not the
correct you.
black phone. The chair against the wall.
Yeah.
Like how many phones are in that office, Lucy? I mean, really?
Well, apparently too many phones for Lucy, but that's a whole nother topic.
We can do an entire podcast on how Lucy just does not understand the concept of telephone.
Well, she eventually figures it out.
And thank God she did.
Yeah, I can imagine Andy is like, "Thank you," throws up his hands, "Thank you."
Again, I'll say it again. Thank you, new series, for making Andy and Lucy complete and total badasses that have redeemed every quirky, annoying thing they've ever done.
Right, especially early on in the return, because we weren't sure. Like we thought they were kind of depicted rather poorly.
Right.
And then here we are. They get a couple of really, Andy especially gets this really amazing
heroes of the show.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got
Lucy shoots Doppelganger Cooper.
Yeah, Lucy has a gun and she shoots Doppelganger Cooper exactly. So yeah, it's great. They each get their moment in the sun.
They get their moment. And I was mad at Lucy for punishing Andy so much when she was mad at she got pregnant.
Well, when she was in that kind of triangle with
Dick Tremaine.
Dick Tremaine, yeah. And I call him Dick because obviously he's a dick.
Dick Tremaine.
Yeah,
totally.
Dick Tremaine. And so yeah, she just kind of played with his emotions a little bit. She was a little cruel to him.
I was not a fan.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of it. She was all mad at him, but then it's like maybe it was Dick Tremaine's baby. It's like, Lucy,
yeah,
what kind of invitation to love crap is this? You don't need to be so
yeah, you're not Jade, okay? So. Or no, Emerald. Excuse me, Emerald. Emerald. That's right. Jade gives 2 rides, but
I bet she did.
Yeah. All right. Cheers to you if you can follow our conversation out there in podcast land. So,
and if you've watched the series, you better be able to.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better. So, this is the advanced class, people.
Yes.
So, next track is Windswept, a reprise. This is obviously Johnny Jewel, and this, of course, is best known as the Dougie stares at a statue music.
Yes.
At the end of the credits in part 5, and then at the beginning of part 6, I think it kind of carries over.
And I love this Johnny Jewel track. And Johnny Jewel, of course, is a member of the Chromatics.
Right.
Which is like one of my new favorite things.
Yeah, because they're also featured on the score as well as the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, just wait, kids. We're not done with the Chromatics yet.
Yeah,
I am very much liking the Johnny Jewel and the Chromatics music a lot.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten into them as well because obviously, when I was watching the series before this was all released on CD, I would go on YouTube and just to listen to the tracks, and then of course you'd have other YouTube links like, hey, if you like this, check this out by the Chromatics or by Johnny Jewel.
Right.
So I got to sample a lot of their stuff, and I'm like, okay, I think I kind of like this. I would like an album from them.
Oh, definitely, yes. Italians do it better. Come on.
Yeah, that's their record label. Italians
do it better. That's their label. Italians do it better. So get on their mailing list, kids. But I'm always looking for a new band to obsess over and to dig through when I go to record shops. So,
but this has a nice slow jazz kind of feel, but it's also kind of wistful and melancholy, because you know what that Cooper is kind of trapped inside Dougie at this point.
Exactly, and he's sort of
trying to figure things out.
It's almost like Cooper is a statue. He's a man trapped in something he can't get out of.
Right.
So.
Right. Next track is Dark Mood Woods. Speaking of dark moods, and / the Red Room.
The Red Room, yes.
Yeah, this is featured in part 1, where which is kind of interesting because most of this soundtrack goes pretty chronologically, but except for this, and. This is where Hawk is walking through the woods, Ghostwood. Say that's catchy. And then we end up kind of cutting into the Red Room,
right,
in another scene. So,
and again, this is another one where it does a fantastic job of picking up where the last soundtrack left off.
Right, because this was featured on the Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
So, But here, yeah, you obviously get another like more higher quality volume because the Twin
Right.
Peaks Fire Walk with Me soundtrack came out in 1992, and
Mm-hmm.
audio production has improved a bit over 2 decades.
Yeah.
So you have that, but so that's nice to hear. And if you really want a great opportunity to isolate the audio of entering the rev room, that kind of like that guitar strum, that
Oh, yeah.
uh,
Oh,
yeah, and if you want to use that for your like a ringtone or something, or a
hey, that's not a bad idea.
notification for a notification ringtone, I think that there's your chance because that's great audio. Eighth track on this is The Chair, and this is in part 9, the very big scene where Betty Briggs kind of reveals something
Yes.
important to her son Bobby and to Sheriff Frank Truman and Deputy Chief Hawk. And this is a new composition by Angelo Badalamenti, and and it's also like very sad, and as like Betty is kind of reminiscing as she's telling, talking about her husband, and you find yourself like, I miss Major Briggs.
Miss Major Briggs. And that's what you can, that's the theme that is throughout all of Angelo Badalamenti's music for Twin Peaks, is that it's melancholy and mysterious.
Right.
It's in this scene, it's melancholy because, again, Betty Briggs has been holding on to the secret, wondering when this is going to happen. Probably every time she dusts that chair, she wonders, is this going to be the year that he comes and asks? She probably misses her husband, but then there's more of this mystery. Major Briggs was quite an enigma, and left behind more secrets than he did tales. So this is a mystery, and it's melancholy. She doesn't have her husband anymore. Bobby doesn't have his father anymore, but he saw this path for you.
Yep.
And he told me that one day you, Hawk, and Sheriff Truman would come asking about Agent Dale Cooper, and this is what I'm supposed to give you. So
you have to wonder about Bobby in this. You have to wonder about Bobby because every time he would look at that chair and go like, "Wait, that thing was in the chair the whole time, and you never told me. You never told me."
Yeah, exactly.
All these years.
And I just, I wonder what goes through Bobby's head at night. Now that he's a cop and on the straight and narrow and kind of a good guy,
right?
And trying to be a loving dad and all this stuff, and Bobby killed a guy.
And yeah, that's never been addressed, has it?
No, we have not talked about that.
It's like Bobby's dark secret that he got away with.
Yeah, he got away with it.
Because presumably, like if anybody knew, that might be a little awkward on his police application.
If anybody found out about it, though, I think we should just blame Chad. Just pin it on Chad.
I didn't kill him. Chad killed him because we hate
Chad.
Chad
Did it.
We hate Chad.
He's got something in his shoe that killed him. I don't know what it was.
Exactly.
Freaking.
Check his other shoe. Maybe the evidence is there in his other shoe. Yeah. Or is that where he keeps his phone? Because, his shoe phone.
Missed it by that much.
The old secret compartment in the shoe trick.
Yep.
All right. Next track, Deer Meadow Shuffle. This is actually music that was featured in Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, but was not on the soundtrack.
Right.
And finally released on audio.
Yay!
Thankfully, because it was also used in The Return in Part 9. And this was the scene in Part 9 where the Fusco brothers, they're kind of talking in their police department office, and then they go to arrest Ike the Spike.
Yeah.
So they take him down. So this is cool. It's another type of track.
Douglas Jones moved
and I really like this track.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, this is a wonderful track.
I liked it in Fire Walk with Me because this was like where Chet Desmond's going around with Sam, and just kind of they kind of go to that to meet with the local Sheriff Cable.
I've calculated that everything in this office is worth $57,000.
Yeah.
Furniture included.
Yeah. And it's great audio.
And there's something just so comedic about Ike the Spike that he just doesn't say anything, and then he just comes running after you like a blur.
Like a bat out of hell.
Seriously, like a blur with an ice pick. There's just something so goofy about him. And
you're just like, wait, what did I just watch?
What did something just blow past me? What happened?
That first time I saw him like go on that little tear through the office, and I'm just like, wait, what just happened? What the hell was that?
Like, what the hell is going on here?
So, but Ike the Spike now doing time in prison. 10th track. This was a big one.
Yep.
The Threnody to the Victims of Hiroshima.
Yep.
By Krzysztof
Penderecki
and the Warsaw National Philharmonic Orchestra.
Rowicki is the conductor.
Witold Rowicki. Yep. And this is a 9-minute, 30-second track.
This is a haunting, frenetic track.
And obviously this was in the big scene in part 8 where we essentially dive right into the middle of a nuclear explosion. The first atomic bomb test. And all the incredible visuals that Lynch threw out in that episode, which really needs to be nominated for an Emmy come Emmy nomination time. Damn well better.
This episode is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on television.
Yeah, this is essentially pure art on television.
Absolutely. It is. I was having this discussion with someone at Pinball the other night about what is the most beautiful movie we've ever seen.
Yeah. What was the answer?
It's a toss-up between Mad Max Fury Road and Blade Runner 2049. And
I kind of see where you're coming from with that because I've watched both movies,
Yeah, and there's, and somebody might say,
I think I would go with Blade Runner 2049 more than I would Mad Max Fury Road.
Some people would say that, Ron or Kurosawa's Dreams are the most beautiful movie in the world, but I guess for me it's a post-apocalyptic kind of a thing that I'm interested in. But Fury Road just has that stark contrast of the bright blue sky and the fire and things like that. But there was just something about Blade Runner, and this one has that sort of just dark, ethereal feel that is haunting and mysterious and engaging and grabs you, but it makes you sad at the same time, but also makes you really excited at the same time. This again, this was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on television, and and forever in my mind, Joy Nash is one of the most beautiful women in the world because of what she added to this scene with her expressions.
As Senorita Dido.
Senorita Dido, yes.
Senorita Dido. And we get more of her in the next couple tracks.
The thing, the Penderecki piece is very haunting and very uncomfortable, which I think is good.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, obviously, what Lynch likes to go for, because Lynch likes to make you uncomfortable. He does these long, awkward silences or people shuffling at very slow rates that you're just like, hey, it's driving me crazy. Would you hurry up and get across the room?
Right. And this piece is a good way to remind everybody that as Americans, we like to think of ourselves as the heroes of World War II. Right. But nobody did the right thing in World War II. I mean, yes, Japan was an Axis power. Right. But what they did to the Chinese should not happen to garbage. Right. Some horrible things happened during that war.
It was just a horrible situation because,
and it reminds you of that.
Yeah, you didn't want. The Americans didn't want to do they tried to get the Japanese to surrender. They wouldn't surrender. They even wouldn't surrender after one atomic bomb was dropped. Mm-hmm. So that a second second one was dropped in Nagasaki. So and then only then there's maybe we should surrender. So and it had to come to that point, which is just it was just horrible that after all that death and all those years of fighting, that
nobody did the right thing. Yeah. In World War II.
Yeah. It's just what that did was just it ended the war so that more death wouldn't occur.
And it's interesting too, because if you look at Japanese culture from the 40s on,
right,
it is so atomic based.
Yeah.
And it is such an indelible part of their psyche.
Their
that
culture. Yeah.
Right. There's a movie that I like quite a bit, a Japanese horror movie called Utsumaki.
Yeah.
And it is literally people looking up at the sky and then being mutated.
Yeah.
That's literally what happens in that movie. And that movie was made in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that is just not going to go away anytime soon. What happened to the people of Japan was ungodly horrific. And this music reminds you that, like I said, as Americans, we like to think of World War II as us defeating the bad guys and Glenn Miller music. Tom Brokaw.
Well, it's just like to an extent that's true, but then there's this other stuff on top of that.
It was still a war.
Yeah, it's war, and war is ugly.
Yeah,
and we shouldn't be wanting war.
It was not. It wasn't just Hitler. There was a lot going on with the Axis powers.
Yeah, there's this chap by the name of Benito Mussolini, and of course Hirohito. So yeah.
There was a lot going on. And
they were real princes. So yeah.
United States. Now there was the United States. We did some horrible things. Yep. And it's not
Japanese internment camps. So yeah.
Yeah, the World War II is not all Glenn Miller and Casablanca and killing Hitler. There's some really, really bad shit going on, and this reminds you of the other parts of it that I think get forgotten in the, as Americans, we tend to romanticize the era, and that's never sat well with me. I kind of lost all respect for Tom Brokaw after writing his book, The Greatest Generation. I thought, what a load of crap, but that's just me, because there's so much more to it than we like to talk about. But yeah, this music really encapsulates the uncomfortableness of thinking about what was done during the war.
Yeah, and obviously with this scene, it's used as the way to kind of explain how a creature like Bob, who is basically pure evil, enters this dimension.
How does he find an opening? And
basically like that the bomb test basically tears a hole in the fabric of reality enough to allow him to slip through. Or he's essentially, or as we kind of find out, we see he's almost birthed into our universe.
He's vomited
by the experiment.
Yes, he's vomited by the experiment when there's a crack in the facade of the decency of human nature.
Right. Regurgitated.
Yes.
It's like here, like, blah, there, take it. Now you deal with him. I don't want to deal with him anymore. But
what is the quote? There are still faint glimmers of civilization in this barbaric cesspool that once was known as humanity. And that's Laura. That's the Laura. Right. That's the Laura, or the faint glimmer of civilization in this barbaric cesspool that was once known as humanity.
Right. But obviously, some very incredible visuals from David Lynch, and this music just was perfect. A perfect choice.
Perfect for it. And then we lead into my two favorite pieces of music on this entire soundtrack.
Yeah. So the next track, Slow 30s Room, and this is by David Lynch and Dean Hurley.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is essentially like hanging out at your grandparents' house, where they have like old timey music playing, and it's on an old phonograph, and
it sounds like an old Victrola with scratches.
Exactly, you hear the scratches everywhere, and this kind of like it's a very kind of like old, almost like a droning type music composition, and it definitely does give that feel like, hey, like I'm in someone's house that feels like it's been stuck in the same position since 1930.
Right. And a little bit of a personal note about myself. You know how Captain Picard is, constantly doing like his, Renaissance Shakespearean crap on the holodeck?
Yeah.
If I were Captain Picard and I had a holodeck,
when he's not Dixon Hill detective.
Oh God! Don't even start with me. True, when he's not that.
Yeah.
If I had a holodeck, I would go back to the 30s.
Right.
I romanticize the 30s like crazy.
See, I do that, but with the 40s.
I love 30s music, 30s movies, 30s film stars, 30s clothing, 30s design. I love the 30s. Absolutely love the 30s.
The very Art Deco.
The Art Deco, King Kong, Greta Garbo, Marx Brothers, all of it. So the design of, this
that golden age of Hollywood, essentially.
Well, and the design of this movie theater in Frankenstein's castle in space,
right,
that Senorita Dido and the firemen are in, is, if my house could look like that, it would.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love this piece of music, Slow 30s Room.
Yeah, and we speculated about if this is actually the White Lodge we're seeing.
Right. And then it goes into
the firemen.
30s Room goes into the firemen, which is the music that is playing when who we refer to as the Giant.
Yeah, exactly. We used to refer to as the Giant until we finally got, we also used to refer to him as question mark.
Yes.
But now he's actually the fireman.
He is the fireman.
And apparently the fireman's job is to put out fires. And in this case, Bob is a fire that needs put out. So
Laura.
So essentially his job is to kind of levitate up to the ceiling and bring Laura into existence so that she can fight this evil and hands her off to Senorita Dido.
Who then hands her off to planet Earth.
Yeah.
And then the fireman is also who brought us Freddie McRubberfist, who was able to send Bob back to hell or wherever.
And after
whatever hell of his own creation.
Of course, you have to kind of wonder, is like, well, hey, why didn't you do that back in 1992 or 1989? Excuse me, where the series was.
Because Freddie McRubberfist wasn't born yet.
Right. Okay.
Well, I think Cooper was probably also an attempt to fight Bob as well, but
it didn't work out.
And I don't think it's for lack of Cooper's ability. I think Cooper sacrificed himself for Annie, which is part of why I was so disappointed that we didn't see what happened to Annie in the return, because that's why Cooper did what he did.
Hopefully that will be in the final dossier.
That would be nice. That would be nice, because I would like to think that that something good happened to her for Cooper's sacrifice.
So we'll find out, because I know it is supposed to have some secrets from characters that did not appear in the return.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for Tuesday.
Yeah.
But yes, the fireman is one of the most beautiful pieces of music I've ever heard. I remember watching this scene just with this look of awe on my face. Just my mouth was hanging open, my eyes were saucers. And when I saw Laura in that golden orb, the room was completely quiet. I was by myself, and I just went, oh, like I just made like this.
It's so pretty. Yeah,
it was just the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on television, hands down.
Yeah,
hands down.
It's the music is very ethereal, like you said. It's almost like music that you would find like if you went into a church. Like if it was like an empty church and they had some music on.
True, but almost not as ominous. There's something about church music that is either bombastic or ominous. And this has its own ominousness to it, but I don't think it's...
No, because it's more... it's more uplifting, I think.
It is.
And I think it's intended to be, because the idea that, the fireman is bringing hope to combat this evil of Bob. And in the form of Laura. And I think it's it's got this very like magical, dreamlike quality to it that, of course, David Lynch loves, I think. So so it's just like you're just having this almost like an experience, really, watching this.
It absolutely is.
and you're just kind of hypnotized by what you're watching. You're just kind of staring, just with your eyes glazed over, like, oh, kind of almost like your Becky Burnett in the car, listening
Absolutely, but with
yeah,
but with less dumbass husbands and less cocaine.
Yeah, less cocaine in your system, but yeah,
Yep.
just listening to like, I love how you love me.
Yeah, I could see myself just getting absolutely lost listening to this music.
Yeah, the kind of just dreaminess, I think.
And it's interesting because Twin Peaks,
and it does feel like it is a dream, like you're dreaming this.
Oh, very much so. And Twin Peaks is very much like a dream within a dream.
Right. But who is the dreamer?
Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream.
Yep.
And and when I think of Twin Peaks, I definitely do think of the 90s. And there was dreamy music going on in the 90s. If you think about, the Twin Peaks music that got very popular, Julie Cruz,
right.
Enigma, Dead Can Dance, This Mortal Coil.
Enigma is a perfect example of that. Yes.
That was a thing in the 90s. And that leads me into the next track, which is Saturday by the Chromatics.
Right.
Which has that feel to it to me. It feels like something that I would have gone crazy for in high school and would have, just had on my Walkman all the time. I loved this instrumental by the Chromatics.
That's a great comparison because, Saturday, the Chromatics, especially this track, because it's an instrumental, which is why it's on the score,
right.
It does have that kind of Enigma sound to it.
This one, and I forget which one it was.
Just not quite so techno. It's more...
No, not quite so techno. This definitely does have a Chromatics feel to it, but it's almost like if the Chromatics and Dead Can Dance got together. Okay. And there was another track in here. I don't remember if it might have been The Chair, I think. I forget which one, but there's another one here that I remember listening to thinking, this is a very Dead Can Dance kind of a feel to it. That sort of ethereal, dreamy, outside of
wistful
yourself. Yeah. Outside of yourself kind of tracks.
Yeah.
And like I said, that was a very 90s thing. Even when, Tim Booth did his record with Angelo Badalamenti, they had a bit of that going on in there. Peter Newton and Michael Brook, when they did their records together, what was the name of that one group that, I'll think of it later. The one that they did that song where they had Gillian Anderson do vocals on it.
Oh.
Who was that? Oh man, that's going to drive me crazy thinking about that.
That's your trivia question for the day, kids. Go look that up.
Yeah, come on. Write in and tell us what that was, because I forget what it is.
Before we look it up on Wikipedia later, because it's driving us crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's driving us nuts.
All right. So, next track, Headless Chicken.
I love that title.
Which is, well, this is another track by Thought Gang, which is essentially Angelo Badalamenti working with David Lynch. Mm-hmm. And I think this is, like, if you listen to the Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me soundtrack, there was the, the Black Dog Runs at Night.
Right.
Song,
right.
If I remember correctly.
It's very similar to that sort of feel to it, which, which almost sounds, and the title would remind you of surf rock that got really dark really fast.
Exactly. This was in part 10, featured in a scene where the Mitchum brothers kind of contemplate their situation.
Candy, where's my Bloody Mary? Oh, speaking of which.
Yes.
For those of you who are in Ohio.
Yes.
Or within driving distance of Cleveland, Ohio. Within reasonable driving distance of Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes.
Just a heads up that March 9th of next year, Jim Belushi at the Hard Rock Casino doing stand-up.
Very cool.
So I am so tempted to go and see... if he does a VIP thing where you can meet him, I am so freaking going, because people are under a lot of stress these days.
Very nice.
But speaking of the Mitchum brothers, check that out if you want to go.
Very nice. Need
Bradley Mitchum.
We need 3 young girls to go as the Candies. Yeah, the Candy.
Seriously.
That would be hilarious. They just kind of sit down and they're like kind of like cocktail waitress
Little cocktail
dress.
dresses. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
seriously. They're at a casino. I think we could probably find those girls if we wanted to.
That would be pretty funny.
Yep.
All right. Next track, Night.
Oh yeah.
This is in part 12, and this is another Angelo Badalamenti track.
Yeah, we're going to
Where
close out the record with Angelo. So
yeah, where Tammy Preston joins the Blue Rose Task Force.
mhm.
So, F you, Tammy. Oh, wait.
F you, Gordon.
F you, Gordon. F you, Albert.
Yes.
Tulpa Diane, we hardly knew ye.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I like Tammy Preston, and I hope she's more of an Albert than she is a Cooper or a Jeffries. I hope she's able to retire from the FBI.
Yeah. Hopefully she actually survives the Blue Rose Task Force.
Yeah, I don't want her to turn into some sort of Lovecraftian steampunk robot for the rest of eternity.
A tea kettle? Oh wait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A tin machine.
A tin machine.
Machine, yes.
A tin machine.
Yeah, I still love that. I still would have loved that.
I think that was extremely clever. That kudos to you, my friend.
I'm sure I'm not the only one who came up with it, but
you're the only one I've heard so far.
It seems obvious. Next track is Heartbreaking, and that's from
which it is.
Part 11. This was in the scene where Cooper and the Mitchum boys are having a drink in a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where Cooper's just kind of starting to get a glimmer of himself a little bit.
And
this is before he hits here's these piano notes, and he kind of gets that Cooper look in his eye, and then it fades far too quickly.
And now the pie that saved your life.
Yes.
So that was kind of a very melancholy, and that's they go to this Italian restaurant with a piano bar and things like that. And if you've ever seen The Godfather, some Italian music is very melancholy, so
yep,
works out well.
Yeah. Yeah. Track 17.
My favorite Angelo Badalamenti piece ever.
Audrey's Dance. Could be because Audrey Horne is your favorite Twin Peaks character, is it?
You think? And
it might have some small connection.
And don't you just love this music? It's so dreamy.
Exactly.
I will say, I refused to be the asshole that went into the Double R Diner and played this song in the jukebox. I didn't even look for it.
Right.
I refused to be that person, but it was tempting.
I'll bet.
To want to, but there's no way. Because can you imagine being that guy, like having to work at that restaurant all the time?
Oh, and then hear it every single day.
Every damn time some idiot like me comes in, like, oh my God, look at the Double R Diner.
Yeah. Just do the poor guy a favor, bring your iPod and listen to it. Just keep it to yourself.
Exactly. Keep it to yourself, people.
Think of the employees that work there.
Think of the children.
Yeah, exactly. Think of the children.
Oh God, will someone please think of the children?
Yeah. So obviously this is in part 16 where Sherilyn Fenn gets to recreate her dance from episode 3 of the original series.
Yes. Audrey's dance.
Yeah. So, and in a sequence where we're kind of wondering, did that actually happen? Or was it all a dream?
Was that real or was that Memorex?
Yeah, was that Audrey's coma dream?
Unfortunately, I think it is Audrey's coma dream. And I think, like I said, I keep thinking somebody's keeping her on ice.
Hopefully we'll get more of that in the final dossier, because who knows when we'll ever get any kind of opportunity otherwise.
But like I said before, the little girl who lives down the lane is a little girl who keeps her father's death hidden from the world. So I'm worried that Audrey's being kept by somebody.
Yeah.
And it's scary. At least we know it's not Doppelganger Cooper.
Well, from what I remember, back when Fire Walk With Me came out, was that Lynch had talked about like he kind of planned it as part of a series of movies.
Okay, sure. Get on that,
So
David.
yeah, exactly. Well, my point is like, well, you know, is this just one of the plot threads that okay, I'm going to set this up and then maybe at some point do something with?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice, especially if he did it before he died. That would be great.
Or, David Lynch is going to live to be 107, I know, but it would be nice if he did it before I died. That would be great.
Well, he's just, he's living on a diet of donut, coffee, and cigarettes. So
I don't care if he VC Andrews is us and leaves enough manuscripts for things to be written for 50 years
or
after
like
his death.
George R. Martin, who's like, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to finish this, so I'm going to leave copious notes.
Hey, if he wants those two, D.B. Weiss and whatever that other guy's name is, if he wants to just leave it to them.
David Benioff.
David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. Yes, that's right, David Benioff. That is completely fine with me. Yeah. Because, we have zombie dragons now. Spoiler alert. You should have watched the episode by now.
Exactly.
Zombie dragons. Yep. Okay?
Ice dragon.
Ice zombie
dragons.
Right. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
And I heard a story. Chris told me a story that when they approached him with the idea of doing a television show based on the books, he said, I have one question for you. And if you answer this question right, you have my permission. And the question was, who is Jon Snow's mother? And they said Lyanna Stark. And he's like, go.
Yep,
go
you get it. Yep.
Yeah.
Apparently you passed the test.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Well related! Have you watched Game of Jones when Game of Thrones was on?
No.
Leslie Jones live tweets during
that's hilarious.
Yeah, there's and that scene in that final episode where Jon Snow and Daenerys are totally going to do it on the boat ride.
Right.
She's like, no, y'all related.
Hilarious. All right. Last track on the album, Dark Space Low.
Oh, this track, it creeps me out.
Yeah, well, with good reason. For one thing, it's the end credits to part 18, the final episode.
Which is one of the scariest things I've ever seen. For some reason, like I said before, Laura screaming and then all the lights going out just got me.
Yeah, so you're kind of hit with like the 1-2 punch of Cooper wondering what year is this?
What year is this?
And then you have Laura finally waking up from being someone else.
Yep.
And screaming in horror as she realizes, what house she's standing in front of.
Or whatever she's realizing or remembering. I don't even know what it is. But she screams
we're not quite sure what she actually sees.
And boom, lights go up. For some reason, the ending of this, and I don't know if it's because it's the ending, and I'm left so rattled, but this got me more freaked out wise than God of Light did. And that was a creepy, creepy episode. But this one, for some reason, just really shook me to my bone marrow.
But, this, obviously with part 18, it had to be a powerful ending.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with the kind of cliffhanger ending that we got from the original series.
Mm-hmm.
Which obviously traumatized us enough that we got new Twin Peaks 25 years later.
Oh,
and change. So, and if nothing else, hey, it's better than fading to black and going, don't stop believing.
Hold on to that feeling. Yeah, it's better than that.
Yeah.
Right, we're cutting off in mid-sentence, fading to black, and then getting Journey music.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, seriously.
You could have done better, Sopranos. I'm just saying.
Well, we won't ever have our chance now, will we?
No, we won't. All right.
We miss you, James Gandolfini.
Yeah, he was great. Now, there were some tracks that were missing off of this that, at least a few here that I thought should have been on here. We didn't have Take 5 by Dave Brubeck.
No, we did not have Take 5 by Dave Brubeck.
Which was in part 4. And then there was another track by Johnny Jewel called The Flame. That was in part 5.
Right. Any Johnny Jewel can happen for me.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah, either one of those tracks, anything by Johnny Jewel was great. We missed Sleepwalk by Santo and Johnny, one of the songs from the Double R Diner.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, this was in part 7. So that was great. I would have liked to have had that. Now, this song I could have lived without, but it was Human by Hudson Mohawk, who was one of the Roadhouse acts. He was that singer, that kind of like avant-garde, electronic music guy.
Mm-hmm.
That was
right.
right before Ruby has her little screaming fit in the Roadhouse, I believe.
Oh, when they take her and put her on the floor.
Yeah, they take her out of the booth, and then she kind of crawls across the dance floor, and then just unleashes this whole unholy Cheryl Lee worthy scream.
Yeah, she did good. She did good.
Yeah, she had good pipes too. That was in part 9, and then this instrumental Charmaine by Mantovani and his orchestra, which was in part 10. So that was also from the restaurant scene with the Mitchum brothers.
Never been a huge Mantovani fan.
Yeah, so me neither. So that one, that was okay. But
Mantovani is there with Ferrante and Teicher and like the 101 strings for me.
Right. At the very least, I would like to have had Take 5 and Sleepwalk. Those two, I thought those two at least should have been on here.
I'm sure that those are a contractual kind of thing.
I'm sure. That's the problem when you have licensed music is like that. Is just that. Sometimes you get the rights for the TV show, but can't quite put them on the soundtrack.
Right, and again, in this day and age, I mean, you want those pieces; they are very easily available.
Well, yeah, because I've done that with Stranger Things. Like I made my own soundtrack, and I'm kind of glad I did, because there's a lot of tracks that are on the upcoming soundtrack that aren't going to be on the album. So,
ooh, like what?
Trying to remember offhand.
Like 80s music, or
there was some stuff. I'm trying to remember. There was a song by the Seeds called "Can't Seem to Make You Mine." That's
by who?
By the Seeds.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, that was a good one.
There's a band that I really, really love called the Clientele, and they have a song called "Can't Seem to Make You Mine" that I absolutely love. So.
Yeah, I wonder if that's maybe a cover.
I don't know. I'll check it out.
Okay, I think the Seeds is the original one, but it's definitely it's a very cool kind of like it almost has like an indie pop sound, but in the 60s.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Because I'm trying not to. And as we record this, everyone, we've got 3 hours and 19 minutes before season 2 of Stranger Things.
Yeah, we're doing our countdown. Yeah, so it's like, well, do I stay up to midnight and start binging, or duh.
We all know what you're going to do, Charles. If I call you at 1 a.m, you're going to pick up the phone and go, "Did you see it?"
Yeah, you'll be like texting me like, "Are you watching too?" Oh my God, So, all right.
Lori's going to be like,
"Yep.
How does Dan know you're awake?"
Yeah,
she just does. Okay.
She's in my brain, okay? She knows. She just knows.
She knows things about how I operate.
Yeah. We're kind of wired in similar fashion, so that's what, All right. So, do you have a rating?
Psycho for pop culture. What do you want me to tell you, sweetie?
Exactly. I need my 80s fix, okay? Come on.
Yeah. But I was just wondering if it was more score or like 80s songs. So.
Well, these are more 80s songs. Well, cool. And also because they kind of draw from a lot of different eras. They also have like 70s music and 60s music. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's the thing. If you want 80s music, man, just come over here.
Well, I've got about 480 songs in my iTunes library.
Nice.
That's not counting all the CDs that I have.
Oh yeah.
But I think just from that era alone, I have like 400 songs in my library, because it's just it's obviously the 80s was my decade, so that's where the bulk of my music collection lies.
When I was in college working at Media Play, everybody would call me over. "Zan, which one of the Just Can't Get Enough collections has One Night in Bangkok on it?" "Number 11. All right, thank you." So yeah.
One night in Bangkok when your world's your
And
oyster.
the Buddha.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Not my favorite song from that musical, but very, very good song.
And a show with everything but Yul Brynner. Sorry.
I get my kicks above the waistline, sunshine.
Nice, nice, very nice. Didn't expect that reference, did you, kids?
No, I'm sure you didn't, kids.
Yep. All right. Go ask your parents. Okay. Do you have a rating for this? For the score? For the score, yeah.
Oh yeah, this is a 10 out of 10.
You like this one? Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gave it a 9 because there was a couple tracks that I wanted on here that weren't on here, but I understand. Yeah, rights.
Yeah. So. The thing I've got, I've got Sleepwalk.
Yeah.
I've got Big Quebec.
Yeah.
So
I give it 9 out of 10. Fireman phonographs.
Ooh, that's a good one. What should my rating be? What should I pick with that one here?
I just like the phonetic alliteration there.
Fireman phonographs. That's fantastic. But yeah, just I'll do 10 out of 10 Roadhouse bands.
There you go. There you go. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. All right. So next time, Zan's going to go on a little trip. So we're going to have to record
a trip, but we're going to try and make sure that you don't have to miss us.
Exactly. So you're not going to go with any kind of Ghostwood withdrawal. So next time we're going to talk about kind of go Criterion Walk with me as we talk about Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me on Criterion Collection.
Do you mean this right here?
Yeah. Duh.
Duh.
In the immortal words of Zan Sprouse, duh.
Duh. Of course I have it.
Yep.
So, look what else I picked up.
Or in the immortal words of Buffy Summers, add it up, it all spells duh.
Does the word duh
you have the Stranger Things Blu-ray DVD in the.
It looks like an old VHS tape.
That's in the yes.
Did you notice this right here?
Yeah, the sticker.
Sticker that means nothing to anybody but the rental people.
Exactly. That's like a Blockbuster rental sticker. Very well played. I respect I respect the attention to detail. Plus, they also made it look kind of faded and like it's been in your closet for 2 decades.
Yeah, it's been at the rental place for years.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I also, while we were talking about the soundtrack, I remembered something that I have that I haven't pulled out in a long time. Check this out.
Ooh, what is that? The sheet music to the Twin Peaks theme.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Holy crap.
Holy crap.
Look what it says on it. Look how long I've had that.
Wow, you got your maiden name on here.
Got my maiden name on there, yes. Wow. Thank you very much, Carrie Gibbs Prouty, for giving me this in 1990.
And you kept it in really good condition too, all those years.
Oh, it goes in the piano bench. I mean, it lays flat.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. I wasn't sure where you kept it.
Yep, but yes, I have the sheet music.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay.
Yep.
You just kind of raised your geek cred level there.
I just raised the bar.
It just went up another notch. Yep.
Yep. One more.
Raising the bars, Ann.
Yep. If I wasn't a nerd enough.
Yes.
Now raised the bar.
Now, obviously, we talked about Fire Walk with Me not too long ago when we first started the podcast. But so we're obviously probably not going to focus so much on the movie as we are the special features, I'm guessing.
That is correct. That is at least that would have been my suggestion.
I'm sure we'll talk about the quality because this is a remastered version, so we'll probably talk about the video and audio quality.
Right, but mostly we'll be doing the extra features.
Yeah.
And the
documentaries and all that. So
judging criterion on their always excellent work.
Yeah, maybe we could talk a little bit more about the missing pieces.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more.
Exactly.
So
and there's the booklet we can talk about.
Yeah, we got that nice. The Criterion did put out that nice little booklet inside.
They did.
Yeah.
Are you talking about that little girl that got murdered? So, yes, there's some interesting things in this booklet about David Lynch talking about Kyle MacLachlan and how well he did with Agent Dale Cooper.
Right.
So.
Yep. So we're looking forward to talking about that. Then, of course, we got some other stuff planned later on. But
We
we'll
do.
hold that off for later. We'll keep a little mystery.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
keep, you know.
Yeah. Now, the only other thing I was wanting to talk about before we sign off, really quickly, we lost another Twin Peaks cast member since the last episode.
Yeah, that's true. We did, didn't we?
Yeah, we lost Brent Briscoe, who played Detective Dave Mackley in
Detective Mackley. Yeah,
just this past year.
he was not.
Yeah,
he was not an old gentleman.
no,
So.
he was only 56, but apparently Brent um, took a nasty fall, so much so that
Heard
he
about
ended
that.
up internal bleeding and he died. So
Oh my gosh, how
just one of
horrible.
those things that, like, you take a wrong step, or step down a flight of stairs or wherever and wipe out. And so got to be careful on those stairs, people, or wherever this
Yeah,
happened.
that's true. And if I think we need to tangentially mention, if we do the 6 degrees of separation musically,
Yeah.
Given how Roy Orbison is so elemental to David Lynch productions, we need to give a shout out to the great loss we felt in the music world with the loss of Tom Petty as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was also another blow since the last time we had spoken with you.
Yes,
But
exactly.
but yeah, because obviously Tom Petty, a major influential artist, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, easy. My favorite, he had one of my all-time favorite videos from the '80s was his "Don't Come Around Here No More" video. Because for one thing, I'm a big Alice in Wonderland geek. So,
well then yeah.
But so I just Tom Petty playing the Mad Hatter, and
I like Tom Petty, Alice in Wonderland, and Cake.
Looking all cool with with his kind of like kind of octagonal shades
with his Roger McGuinn sunglasses.
Yeah.
But you know who wrote that song?
Who did write that song?
Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Which would explain why Dave Stewart's in there as the caterpillar,
playing this guitar at the very beginning of the video. Yep. Yeah, he wrote that song.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, save it for Carson, Grandpa.
Yeah. But Brent Briscoe, he was also in David Lynch film by the name of Mulholland Drive that you may realize.
You may have seen that once or twice, yeah.
Yeah. He played Detective Neil Domgard in that. And he was a bunch of other, this guy he was in a lot of eclectic movies. He was in Sling Blade, he was in The Green Mile.
He was in Sling Blade, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, he's in Sling Blade. He's in Spider-Man 2, for crying out loud. He was also in The Dark Knight Rises. And
did I see that?
And he was
also... I did. That was with Bane, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was with Bane. Tom Hardy as Bane. Batman. Yeah.
Oh, my friend Naomi loves her some Tom Hardy.
Well, she's going to be geeked because he's in the new upcoming Venom movie.
Oh, she probably agrees with me when I talk about Mad Max Fury Road being one of the most beautiful movies of all time.
Yeah. Or she probably liked him in Inception too.
Yeah, and she liked that Taboo show. She thought that was
good.
That's
right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot he was.
She's a big fan of the Tom Hardy.
Yep. So, and then Brent Briscoe was also in Parks and Rec. So, if you're a Parks and Rec fan,
yes, he was in Parks and Rec.
So that was an unexpected and sad loss. Because
that is an unexpected and sad loss.
I like Dave Mackley, the character, so thought he was cool. So they had the kind of very laid back, just almost like straight man to everybody, all the weirdness going around him, which was great.
That's the thing. He's sort of the straight man to the medical examiner, the sassy medical examiner that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Gonna be Mrs. Albert Rosenfeld, I hope.
Yeah. We better get a wedding. So that's just all I'm saying. That better be in the final dossier, that those two hooked up. Those crazy kids. Albert
finally found love.
Yeah. Who would have guessed that one? Nobody.
Yeah. The foundation of such a philosophy is love.
Yes.
I love you, Sheriff Truman.
Very nice.
So.
And a very nice tribute to Miguel Ferrer there.
Thank you. Yes, that's never going to not sting.
No,
the loss of Miguel Ferrer.
That's not. All right. So that's pretty much it. Zan, have fun on your trip.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited. I will be going to Australia.
Ooh.
I will be going to Brisbane.
Australia. I'm just reminded.
Why do you say these things to me when you know I will kill you for it?
Thank you for catching that Superman 2 reference. Thank you.
You are most welcome.
Thank you.
Australia.
All I had to do was just flash up the Richard Nixon peace signs and try to do it like Gene Hackman. I know we didn't do it justice, maybe, but I tried my best.
I knew where you were going with that one. Yes, I'm starting out in Brisbane and then going to Melbourne for a little bit and then driving up to Woodend.
Yep.
And then flying into Adelaide and then coming home through Sydney.
Oh, so jealous.
It'll be
sounds amazing.
Awesome. I hope it'll be. I'm going to try and get used to the cold, so I'll be wanting the warm when I go because it's going to be high 70s when I'm there.
Yeah, and here it is. Like we had frost today here in Ohio.
Yeah, it was 30. It was like 33 degrees last night. We actually turned the heat on.
Yeah, we did too. Yeah, we did too.
We had to break down and turn the heat on.
Yep. Yeah, it's that time of year.
Which is funny because we had the air conditioning on like last Friday, so.
Yep. Kind
of bizarre.
All right, but yeah, it's that time of year. Well, hey, it's late fall now, so
Yes.
Believe it or not. So we'll be back in a week where we talk about the Criterion Fire Walk with Me, and come on back, everybody, because I think it's going to be good. So looking forward about talking about that one with you. I haven't even watched it.
I'm just looking forward to diving through the extra features on this. That'll be exciting.
I am too, because lots of new interviews and stuff. So if you get the chance, go pick it up. Otherwise, you can just come on back and listen to what we think about it, and we'll talk to you next time right here, Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast. Bye, everybody.
Spoiler alert: we're going to tell you to buy it, though.
Yeah, go buy it. Go buy it.
Yeah.
Do yourself.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.